Health Minister Mark Butler, where do you start? He reckons the tobacco tax has nothing to do with the rampant illicit cigarette trade. He reckons there are no vape shops in his electorate. Maybe he could talk to some teenagers. Now he's chosen to diminish the vital role that parents and grandparents play in raising the next generation of Australians. So there's a bit of a push on at the moment for the childcare subsidy to be expanded to include grandparents and nannies. And, you know, why shouldn't parents be able to choose who looks after their children? I've been on board with this for a long time. So Mr Butler was asked about this on Sunrise and he completely ruled it out. But he goes on to suggest that grandparents are not as good at looking after kids as childcare workers and that you should be handing your kids over to someone else. Now, this clip is from about a week ago, but it seems to have flown under the radar. Take a look.
My 3-year-old loves spending time with his grandparents. All 3-year-olds do, but it's not the same as the learning experience you get from the local Good Start Centre where my 3-year-old goes. So we don't support this.
Unlikely.
Look, we've got to stop treating early education like it's babysitting. You wouldn't think about this for a grade 1 or a grade 2-year-old, or grade 2 in junior primary.
A lot of grandparents wouldn't consider it babysitting. They're teaching their children a lot of lessons, and why shouldn't they be eligible for that subsidy?
But every interaction with a 3-year-old is learning. It's not the same as the structured learning you get in early education.
Kel, as a grandfather, how do you feel about Mark Butler suggesting that your care for your grandchildren is not as good as they would get in a childcare centre?
The really good thing is I'm keeping calm and I'm just sitting here. It is a phenomenal level of stupidity. It's off the scale. What he's doing is he's defending a unionised childcare centre force. He wants to defend his union mates. Now, he wants to defend his union mates, but he's lying about parents and grandparents. What do parents and grandparents do? They teach little children to walk. That's an astonishing achievement. They teach little children to talk. They introduce them to the magic of the English language. They give little children social skills. And you know who does best at school? The kids who've grown up being looked after not by a unionised staff person, but by people who love them and who nurture them, their parents and grandparents. Mark Butler and the Albanese government have no confidence in Australian families, no confidence in Australian parents. The right solution, as I've been saying for the last 5 years, is the childcare payment should go to parents. They can decide what to do with it. They can hire a nanny, they can pay it to grandma, mum might stay home and look after, or they might pay it to a childcare centre. But they choose because they parent kids. Mark Butler doesn't parent kids, and he doesn't know how.
Well, I think they're saying the quiet part out loud here, because it's not about childhood education, it's about childhood indoctrination. And it's about getting those kids as young as possible to make sure they know how to deliver a welcome to country every time dinner's served. You know, I mean, this is the kind of rubbish that's going on. And we hear in childcare centres that, you know, I delivered a whole lot of flags when I was a senator to a friend of mine because his kids' childcare centre wasn't going to celebrate Australia Day, but they had celebrated every other international day that had come along and anything else they could think of. They're indoctrination centres, a lot of these places, and I couldn't agree with you more, Kel. I've been saying the same thing. The payment should be paid direct to parents. You should be able to decide whether you want to have an au pair, whether you want to get together with a group of girls that you're all working and have nannies, whether you want to go to your grandparents if you've got that luxury, or whatever works for your family. But this absolutely dictated to your child must go off to a childcare centre. Early education, my foot. It has nothing to do with that. Kids should be eating dirt, getting stories read to them. They should be playing with tactile things.
That's what they do at childcare centres. I don't know what gulag children read to.
Why can't grandparents do it? Is it because they're not doing it in a foreign, you know, in an Indigenous language or with the right body paint on?
Surely you can see, Joe, that statement was insulting from the health.
No, because he's talking about two different things. He's talking about childcare as opposed to early childhood education. And at some childcare centres, obviously those things go together. But he is right. It is a different skill to just taking care of a kid and taking care of their needs. And I've got obviously 3 kids and they've got grandparents and they love them and they adore them, but they don't take the role of a teacher. Parents do not take over the role of a primary school or a high school
from the baby boomers.
No,
formal education used to begin at 5. It worked perfectly, and before
no, it didn't. That's not true. All the research shows that there are a whole cohort of kids who are rocking up to kindergarten and they are not ready and they are slipping through the cracks. And if you speak to experts in this area, they will say the most important thing to actually closing the gap between rich and poor is you have remedial early learning centres so that kids are starting school when they are ready.